everyone. Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Rush Nation, we are back. And as much as we're not doing Thursday shows anymore, we've moved to Tuesday. To make that transition a little bit easier, I thought let's record a Thursday show just to really confuse everyone and make that transition easier. We've already had the Tuesday show with Stocks and I. You've already heard my dulcet tones for 55 minutes this morning talking about week one and every single fantasy relevant player. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, make sure you do. You're going to need a pen and paper. You're going to need to pause the video a few times and watch the video because you have all of my ranks as they were at the time of recording. I'm sure some of them might have changed a little bit, but they shouldn't change too much. But enough about that. To celebrate our 850th podcast, which is just a ridiculous amount. I brought a good friend of mine on, and he is doing something really cool with his team and buddies. They launched last year, so this is year 2. Most of you in the UK will be familiar with this, I hope. And if you're not, then you should do and start playing. But it's my buddy Gurmeet. He's from the Fantasy Gameday App. Gurmeet, welcome to the pod. How are you doing, my man?
Thank you for having me on, Murf. It's a real honour, especially on such a special episode as well. Thank you.
850, man. It's been going a while, and you know it's awesome to have you on, and you're doing something absolutely incredible, especially in a time of, I want to say, distrust in the gambling community. You've got leagues where you've had people run away with prize money. You've had the big gaming companies either cut games or take too much of a rake, or there seems to be a lot of distrust in the gambling community, especially here this side of the pond. Maybe in the US, it's not quite so much. So I thought before we get on and talk about it, you've got an advert that you're just about to put out. And so we thought we'd play it first and give people a bit of a sneak peek as to what we're going to talk about if they don't already know. So let's play this now quickly. Go! All right. That was an impressive ad, my friend. It blows definitely some of the bigger houses out of the water. So it is about the Fantasy Gameday app. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is, how it came about, and what the overall goal of it is, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. As you touched upon, this is our second season. We debuted last year. We are a daily fantasy football app. So for those who are watching who are maybe more familiar with redraft leagues or dynasty leagues, in a redraft league, you'll draft your team with your mates at the start of the season and you'll stick with those players for the year. With a dynasty league, those players will stay with you for multiple years. Ours is the shortest time frame. It's daily, it's weekly. So every week you pick your new team, you pay £7.50 on our app to enter your lineup. And after that game week's done, if you came in the top 20%, you'll win cash prizes. If you didn't, the following week you rip it up and start all over again, and you've got a new slate to work on. So in short, that's what we are. You've touched upon some of the things with the gambling space, which I know we're going to get into more later. I just want to let it be known that we are a UK only operator. So all of our users are only in the UK and aged over 18. And we are fully licensed by the UK Gambling Commission.
And that's a really important thing to touch upon, right? Because this isn't just you and a couple of guys who are just deciding to start a business venture and you're going out there and you're, seeing what their interest is. And then eventually you'll go and get licensed. It's day one, you guys got licensed by the Gaming Commission. You're an official organization and an official sort of, I don't want to say betting company, but you would know the vernacular better than me, but this is all 100% like you're no different in that regard than DraftKings or Fan Team or any of
the companies. Yeah. So where we are different is we are not a bookmaker.
Right.
We're a fantasy football company. we're a pool betting company. We are licensed as a pool betting operator in the United Kingdom. To just talk you through the journey, we started developing the app 2 years ago. And there's three of us, Ankit, myself, and Mark. We developed this piece of technology. We got it working. We got, I'm going to simplify a 2-year period in a couple of minutes here.
Yeah.
And we got the image right. So if you head over to our app, you'll see that we've got all the actual photographs and the images of the players, which is pretty cool. And then the biggest process was we did obtain a gambling license in March 2023, and that was an incredibly long process, and rightly so. It's a huge task, a huge undertaking. And on our part, it's a big responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to enjoy it. Fantasy football is meant to be fun. And that's the biggest thing we want. That's why we're not a sportsbook. We're not a bookmaker. And we're very keen to press home that message. So we're putting that into practice, where it is, as I mentioned, £7.50 to enter one lineup, but we limit it at 5 lineups per week. So with us, someone can only spend £37.50 a week. That's it. They can't go anymore. If you try to enter a 6th lineup on our app, you won't be able to.
Right. So again, this is small stakes gambling. This isn't someone can go on and bet a lot more than they can afford. I mean, effectively they could. They might not be able to afford £37.50 a week. But the point is they can't make £100, £200 stake, or even life-changing amounts. It's £7.50 a lineup. And the idea is, from speaking to you guys, is it's about bringing a community, and it's about having fun, right? And that's the journey of it. It's not, no one's making life-changing amounts of money on it. It's more the fun of playing with UK fans, and things are always more enjoyable when you're in a group of people and can sort of have a laugh and banter about it, I suppose.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate that people like yourselves, Murf, have really welcomed us into the UK fantasy football community. It's brilliant, and it's a hardcore group of fans. We're awake all hours, as we will be from this week, watching the action, and we're very keen on that. And I think another way we put this all into practice is there may be other daily fantasy sites, more so in the United States of America, where if you win that week, you do win enormous sums of money. But if you come in the 20th percentile, it's a huge disparity. So what we've done is the difference between coming first in the first percentile on our leaderboard and coming in the 20th percentile is a lot narrower of a gap. So that's, again, the way that we try to make this more fun. And I think from our experience last year, people have really enjoyed that and people have loved it. So we hope for more of the same this year.
Yeah, amazing. And I think that's great, because again, it's top prize is significant, but not enough to chase putting more money than you can afford on. But like you said, 20 percentile gets paid. So, you got a 1 in 5 chance effectively of getting paid. So, if you submit 5 lineups, the chances are you'll make some money back. And if you're good at what you do, then you'll do better. And obviously you'll have people that can have multiple cashes. We saw that with a few people. And I think the community part is the part that interests me. I'm not a gambler. I don't play DFS. I don't gamble. It's just not something I do. It's not something I've done for many years. But it doesn't mean I don't see the merits of things, right? And I think what I like is the fact that it is a community-based approach. It is small stakes. It's pool-based, so it's not people. You're not preying on people. I think that's what I like about it. Is you get these bigger organizations like DraftKings, and I'm not picking on them, but they are the biggest in the space, where they float lots of offers. They entice people to bet on their sports book, to bet on their other products, and it seems like DFS is a bit of either a gateway or something is a gateway to DFS, and it doesn't feel like it's just about that particular game. And the same with other organizations out there, where it's they've got a suite of products, and ultimately this is something they offer but they want to entice you. This is all you do. You don't do anything else. And so you allow that community to bond and foster it. Do you have anything in the way of, I don't know, like I don't know the answer, so I'm asking, like a Discord or a place where people can come together who are playing on the app and chatting and sharing, I don't know, strategy or sharing game theory or sharing results, or is it all just exclusively on X at the moment?
Mainly X and Instagram. That's where our community tends to be. And what we've done in the off season is we've been going to fan events like the UKFFC and things like that, because we do, and we've been wearing our t-shirts. Everyone knows who we are, because we do want to embrace the community, be part of it. That's why I want to be on shows like this in front of you, and putting a face to the app, a face to the name, because it is important. We do, it's easy to say things, but we also want to carry out those actions. Discord is something that we would love to do. We do want to build that community more, and that we're at very early stages of our business and our growth. So there's a lot of other things that we can do. But ultimately, just to come back to something you mentioned before, yes, we're only an NFL fantasy football app. We love the NFL and we love fantasy football, and that's why we started this project. That's because our love for it. And I also have seen over the years how many fans who are friends of mine, who I brought into watching the sport because of fantasy football, actually. And then after they've got to know about the fantasy element, they started learning about O-line and the importance of that, and how that can help running back score more fantasy points, or how defense works and how play calling works. But their initial love of the excitement of fantasy points being scored, and maybe looking at data and all this sorts of thing, has brought a lot of fans into the sport. So that we know what a big part fantasy football does play in the NFL community in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's different sort of segments of the NFL community. If you ever go onto any of these NFL community threads, whether that's on Reddit or whether that's on Facebook or X, you've got all these sort of separate factions, cliques, whatever you kind of want to call them, right? And sometimes it's not a nice place to be. Sometimes it's a really nice place to be. But I think the fantasy community as a whole is, for the most part, I'm not going to say exclusively, because every community has its own issues, but I think is pretty connected. Everyone tries to share each other's content, and everyone tries to build people up and have relationships and try and there's plenty of space in this community for everybody, right? There's no competitive nature on we tear everyone down so ours is the last pillar standing kind of thing. Like, it just doesn't, it's not in our nature as a community. It's not who we are. So I think it's great to harness. I would say if you can build some sort of Discord or ways that people can communicate directly and share the love of the game, I think that will really help drive growth. And then also, I know from, as much as I don't build apps, I work in an organization in my day job where we build websites, right? Having people part of the process early and then being part of that journey and being able to feedback directly is a really good way of gaining growth and long-term relationships.
Yeah, we were funny you say that, because we were also looking at perhaps a WhatsApp community.
Yeah,
because WhatsApp now does offer that service, but
something like that. Yeah, Discord. It doesn't matter where it is, but wherever people are willing to go, and WhatsApp probably in the UK, given how popular the app is, probably makes even more sense than. I hate Discord. I don't I get invited to about 500 Discord servers, and then I just don't do anything because it just gets on there. I turned on my Discord app the other day and I had 3,700 notifications. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, that worries me about it, and also we want people to be kind to each other. So I don't want that to be abused. But yeah, these are definitely things that we want to look into for sure.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
and you're talking about the community and how welcoming it is and how there are good people. And I've had a personal experience of that. A year ago, literally no one knew about this app. And I reached out to a number of people on X or whatever social platforms, and everyone was so helpful. And they tested out the app and they downloaded it, and they were like, you know what, this is, you're onto something, guys. This is good. This is a good app, and they've helped us incredibly. They've told their fans about it, their Discord communities about it. There's a number of people who have written articles featuring Fantasy Game Day and our player pricing and their tips for the week. And they never knew who I was. I messaged these guys and girls, and they replied to me. And I have a lot to be grateful for, not just me, but Ankit and Mark as well. We've got a lot to be grateful for that these people did reply to me, and they helped us out.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known Ankit for a few years, just through community events. Actually, one of my big regrets we both went to the Buccaneers Seahawks game in Germany in 2022, and we were talking because he said he was going. I said I was going, and we never got to meet. And I was genuinely, the one thing about that whole trip was I was gutted I didn't get to meet him. And you guys were at FFCC the one year I've not turned up because it was a wedding. So we'll definitely correct that wrong and see each other in person. But yeah, I think when you've got good people doing good things, like yourself, like Ankit, like Mark. I don't know Mark particularly well, if I'm truly honest, but you've got this ability to just shine through. People want to share good things, and I think you're so right about being the person front and center, because it's one thing to be an app, it's another thing to be, I work in sales, right? So people buy from people. Your technology could be the best technology in the world, but once you know the story of the people behind it and the genuine love of the game, you're not trying to profiteer from fans. You're creating a game experience, and you're taking costs to run and create a game experience. And that's a completely different thing from, hey, the NFL's getting really shiny over here and everyone's into it. Let's find a way to make some quick cash. And I think you being front and center to say, hey, well, that's not what we're about. Yes, we make money off of it, but it goes into building this creative space and maintain the app so it kind of keeps itself going.
If we can help grow the UK NFL fan base and the fantasy football fan base, that would be quite an achievement, and that would make us very proud. And that's what we want to do.
And I've got no doubt you will, because it's a fun game. It got a lot of coverage last year from people like Jack Humphrey, people like Rich Cooling, for example, who are great content creators. I know Jack's kind of taken a step away from NFL when he's fully in golf, but Rich obviously, and
Rich and Tom will be back.
Tom. I was going to say Tom, and I guess really to sort of entice people, we've talked about why the game exists and the limits and sort of the money involved, which isn't big money, but enough to make it interesting on a Sunday. I guess it'd be good to talk about what the actual game is, maybe for those that don't know what daily fantasy sports is, or people who do, but there are different versions in terms of values, position, spots, point scoring. So tell us a little bit about the actual game itself, how it works, how many players you have to select, what's the cap, what's the point scoring, etc.
Yeah, I'd love to. Point scoring is PPR, so 1 point per reception. The way we've differentiated a little bit is we've got a captain spot. Okay. So in our game, you choose a captain and he'll score you double points. And as well as part of our thinking for making it different to a normal redraft or dynasty league, which you don't tend to see captains, is also inspiration from the Barclays Premier League. And we feel that there's a lot of football fans, soccer for want of a better word, in the UK who play fantasy football, and they're very used to the captain's concept. And we anticipate there'll be quite a lot of people who are going to be watching the NFL in the coming years and transitioning over to playing NFL fantasy. And we thought that's quite a cool bridge between the two. So you get your captain spot. We're a 1 quarterback team, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. And every Monday or Tuesday of each week, you'll see the players and their prices launched on our app. And you get a budget. So for anyone who's not too familiar with how daily fantasy works, you get a budget to select a team. So £50,000 of fake money, and players are priced accordingly. So, for example, this week, Josh Allen is the most expensive quarterback. He'll probably be the most expensive quarterback to have in your team most weeks. And we also have taken the conscious decision, and I think, again, guys like Rich, they commented on this last year, that we're quite generous with how players are priced and the budgets, because we know there will also be a lot of fans in the UK newer to the sport. And we find it's exciting having a team full of stars. So you'll still be able to have, of your 7 players, 5 or 6 superstars. And that's who we really want to get behind on a Sunday, is seeing these superstars score points. And yes, as I mentioned before, it's £7.50 to enter that lineup. And the deadline to enter lineups is 15 minutes before the first game starts on the Sunday, so 5:45 p.m. And once the deadline locks at 5:45, that is it. There's no changes that can be made to lineups. So hopefully I've given enough information there on how it all works.
So is Monday Night Football included, or is this just the Sunday slate?
At the current time, we only have Sunday Stars, which is the 6 p.m. and 9:25 p.m. games on Sundays. What we are looking to do, as we have more fans, a larger fan base and user base, is we definitely want to start including Thursday night football, Monday night football. But at the time being, we're very early in our development. Quite frankly, it's still new. So when there's more and more people playing, then we'll do it. But
yeah,
not yet.
So it's literally for the 6 p.m., 9:05, 9:25 games. So
exactly right.
It's a slate of 10-ish games. 10 or 12. Well, is it? 13 games.
Yeah,
12 this week, but 12 or 13 most weeks. So 12 this week.
There's a large database of players to choose from.
Yeah, you're not struggling to pick a lineup. And so it's, as you mentioned, it's PPR. So the question I have is always, you mentioned you can start a lot of stars. So as much as I don't want you to give away the farm, but having seen that sort of first season, what's if you were advising, say, Joe on the street who was playing this for the first time, who's never played it, what sort of strategies, based on what you've seen from the data in the first year, would be a good sort of starting base to build your team on? And then is there any sort of helpful advice and tips that you could give to people who are just starting this journey, who might want to start this journey?
What we saw, what we do, by the way, is after the games start on the Sunday on our social media, we will talk about how many players have chosen a certain NFL superstar as their captain, so people can get an idea. The captain does play a big part. That's what we saw last year. So captain scoring double points. We had, in the first few weeks of last season, an incredible amount of times where superstar NFL players were getting 35, 40, even 45 fantasy points, which then doubles up. So you're talking about, I remember Keenan Allen got 50 points one week. So there was a huge number of people who had Keenan Allen as their captain, shot up the leaderboard. I think seeing what guys in the community have said and what I've seen myself, there's 2 approaches. You have to have the captain who is going to go large that week, or you go contrary and you pick players who no one else is going to have as their captain. And a guy like Nico Collins last season, for example, might have that incredible week. No one's got him, but everyone's got McCaffrey. So you shoot up the leaderboard. So there's 2 different schools of thought. I think what we also saw last year, which was very successful, was stacking. So I'm sure everyone's familiar because you've got such a knowledgeable listener base, but quarterback and captain being the same team. So we saw a lot of Tua and Tyreek. And then I know Tom Strachan in particular was a real advocate of triple stacking. Yeah. And I think there was a real movement towards filling up your lineup with players where you think it's going to be a high scoring game. So if we're talking about this week, for example, Bills are playing the Cardinals. That could be high scoring. So filling up a team with players from those 2, as opposed to perhaps the Vikings and Giants game, which we anticipate to be lower scoring, is a good tactic. So that would be my advice and what I've witnessed last year.
So like Colts, Texans, and Dolphins, Jags both got the highest over/under total at 49 in the slate of games we're talking about. I believe they're the two highest. I'm just going through my notes.
Yeah, I think the Panthers and Saints, those sort of, unlikely. Yeah, so that's a good starting point. It would be my advice for anyone who's new to it.
Plus, maybe ones that are heavy favourites, like the Bengals, who are 8-point favourites, kind of things in Vegas. You look at them and go, stack everyone in the Bengals lineup and go all in. That makes sense, and I think it's definitely clever. And do you know what? I like the pricing and the idea of you can afford more stars, because I think I've never really touched fantasy like DFS all that much. Sort of played with a couple of free lineups on DraftKings. You sort of get 2 or 3 studs, and then that's about all you can get. And then it's about going contrarian. But if you can afford more stars, then you've got that real dilemma of, oh, well, I would pick these guys based on my rankings, but then everyone's going to have them. And then you have to think about, so I like the strategy level that brings. Got a couple of minutes left. I know last year you partnered with a few people to promote content, and people, as you said, were writing content. Where can people find content on Fantasy Game Day in terms of maybe content where they can find best picks or strategy and things like you mentioned, Rich and Tom of the Fantasy Sanctuary, but is there anyone else who can people seek out to get advice on this? Because I'll be honest, not a DFS guy. I'm probably not your best, but you can take my ranks and you can see if that does you anything. And I've had people do that and say they've done well in DFS, but I don't profess to be a DFS game theory nut. So
we've partnered with a lot of podcasts last season and this season, and so listeners for those podcasts, as well as hearing about our app, will also get promo codes. Which these podcasts have their own. With advice for Fantasy Game Day picks, Richard King from King Fantasy Sports. I did repost on our socials his article for this week, for week 1, with some very useful tips. So give him a follow. Jack Humphrey and Mark Ferguson, the touchdowns for Doe. I know. Very goal focused, but that keep your eye out. That there could be some things coming there. And last season, Rich Cooling and Tom Strachan at Fantasy Sanctuary had an incredible run. I mean, they were nailing their advice, and Rich was literally on his YouTube show talking about players that he was recommending. And those players performed. So definitely keep an eye out for the Fantasy Sanctuary and their content. And what I would say as well is Matt FF Dynasty. He gives the weather reports. And don't underestimate the impact. Maybe not now, but as we get into the winter and the effects that the weather is going to affect play calling, maybe a more run-heavy game, those sorts of things where you might not want to captain a wide receiver if he's playing in a storm in Cleveland in December, those sorts of things. So another one to follow. But there will be plenty of content during the course of the season. And on our X and Instagram at fantasy_game_day, which is on there, I can see there beside my name, I will be reposting plenty of content which is produced for us. So keep an eye there. I'll be putting everything out over the course of the season.
Amazing. Give these guys a follow. Download it. If you are into your gambling, give it a try. Let us know what you think as well. These guys aren't paying me to be here. I don't, gamble, but I really believe in what these guys are doing. That's why I've got them on here. So this isn't like one of those paid promos, 30 minutes, how much have these guys paid to be on here? I approach them because I really love what they're doing. I love that community aspect. And I know a lot of my listeners do like to gamble. So I think it's important to share all the good work you're doing. Where can people get in contact if they want to get in contact with you personally and just reach out with any questions before they wanted to sign up? Is there or it's just everything through the Fantasy_Game Day accounts?
If people DM us on our X and Instagram, I personally am in charge of those accounts, so I will always be quick to reply. But I'm more than happy for anyone to reach out to me there, and I'll give them my personal email address. That's absolutely no issue at all. We are in front of the camera here. We're a very open company. It's all, that's how we want to be. So and just before we end, Murf, I just wanted to go back to this the security of money and customer funds, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, please do.
I know it's been a hot topic, so I just wanted to explain it if anyone does have concerns.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about any other, private stuff or private leagues or commissioners, anything like that. I'm just going to talk about how it works from our business point of view. And just let everyone know that customer funds with Fantasy Game Day are segregated. They are held separately from our business finances. So if you imagine, two groups, and we have our finances to operate our business, but when customers deposit money, that goes into a segregated account, which we have absolutely no control over to touch and to spend or use. It's held separately, so we're almost like just holding that, and then they are released for prizes. So it's secure and held in a segregated account. We will never be able to touch that money. And I know this has been a bit of a topic of conversation.
100%. And then I think that because that's part of the requirements of being certified by the Gaming Commission, if that's right.
That's absolutely correct. It's a term of being having a gambling license in the United Kingdom, which we have. We are licensed by the UK Gambling Commission, and all of our credentials are found on our website and on the app. And if anyone has any questions about it, wants more information, contact me directly, please. But it's safe and secure.
Because the other thing as well is, I understand from the Gaming Commission, you also have to guarantee a level of funds, don't you, to obviously cover the games that you're playing. So you have to provide a guarantee that outside of that segregated account, you hold a level of funds, and you're required to keep that level of funds in order to operate a gaming license in the UK. So I'm right in understanding that, again, just to offer more security for people who are thinking, what is this?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be completely transparent, you spoke about rakes earlier in the show. £7.50 is deposited to enter a lineup. £6 of that £7.50 goes into the prize fund for that week. £1.50 of that goes to Fantasy Game Day as our rake. And
which is below market, right? Because you look at Fan Team and DraftKings, and I'm not picking on that, but they're the two that operate in this space in the UK more than anyone else. Their rates are significantly higher than that percentage, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly what theirs is, but we're a UK-based company. We're situated in the United Kingdom and United Kingdom taxpayers, and our company is registered here. Yeah. So we want to do things slightly differently, and we've got a slightly different approach to it, which is why we're out and about. I'll be out and about in bars over the season, meeting fans and handing out merch and stuff. We want to do things a little bit more with transparency, I guess is their word. We love the NFL, and we want people to enjoy the app and have fun with it. I know that there's adverts and it says when the fun stops, stop, and all those sorts of things. But it's true. Just enjoy watching the NFL and playing fantasy football, and I would just urge everyone to spend within their means. And on our app, the maximum is £37.50. It's not possible to spend more per week with us.
There you go. So it's regulated, it's safe, it's secure. I personally vouch for everybody here on part of the Fantasy Game Day. These are great guys who are just fans who want to create another platform for games that are safe and fair. And so they have done that and done a brilliant job. So I encourage anybody who is interested in playing to sign up and download the Fantasy Game Day app. If you're not sure where to find it. I'll play the ad again. So you... So there you go. Everyone now knows where to find it.
On App Store and Google Play.
That's it. And there is a website. And and you know what? If you are unsure, then you think this sounds great. Maybe it sounds too good to be true. Reach out, ask the guy, speak to them directly. Or again, and I like third-party verification. And Rich and Tom do great work. Like if you want to get their lowdown, and I'm absolutely sure that they will be very honest about the app, the experience. So get your validation if you need it. You know, it's given a lot of people that have written content, but again, they're all people that play. So take your opinions, and then hopefully you'll enjoy and give us some feedback. Let us know how you're getting on. Share those lineups on socials as well, and fingers crossed it will work. But
we love feedback. Yeah, let us know. You know, we have people giving us. It's invaluable. We're a new company. We're a startup. We love to hear people's suggestions, and we take it on board if we can get it sorted quick enough.
Amazing. Well, look, best of luck for the season. Love to have you back on maybe towards the end of the season. Just hear the growth and the path you're going on. If you're launching any new games, and get in touch, let us know. But I think that's going to do it for this one. Hope you do enjoy it. If you're into your gambling and you want to play a different version of fantasy football, check out the Fantasy Gameday app on Google Play, on iStore, or Apple Store even. Let's get the right terminology. And that'll do it. Good luck. Enjoy the game tonight. We've got an absolute doozy to crack off. Enjoy week 1, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning to break that down and any other final fantasy football tips for the weekend. Until then, Rush Nation, don't forget, as always, keep rushing.